Good evening. This is Victor Rizal with the interview of the week, and we continue on into what we like to call the second edition of the newspaper of the air. And before we went off for a minute, why Bert Roberts, the district attorney of the Bronx, was talking about the importance of the button men, who many of us have thought merely as muscle informers. And a question comes up in discussion off mic as to whether or not in this vast apparatus he has described in the Bronx and in Westchester, and obviously therefore must have a parallel in other counties, is there such a thing as a crime lobby in Albany, in the state capital or capitals, which protect the interests of this organized crime, this underworld, and which have contact with the state legislators? I asked you that question, Burton Roberts.
Well, there are certain pieces of legislation which every once in a while I think are propelled or are influenced by certain individuals who seek to benefit from legislation which may hamper law enforcement. I'm hesitant to proceed any further on that, but I think that Ralph is in a better position to proceed further.
Yeah, I'd like to say this, Vic. It's plain and simple. Organized crime is big business. Big business has lobbyists. Big business makes campaign contributions. Big business is for certain legislation and against other. Big business favors certain candidates and against other. The difference between big business as we generally think of it and the big business of organized crime is simply this. I can take you to Washington, D.C., I can take you to state houses all over the country, and I can identify the lobbyists of regular big business. They register, they place their names on record, they write to the congressman, open letters to the press, and so on. The lobbyists of organized crime don't do that. They don't register. We don't know who they are. We can't trace their campaign contributions as readily, but they exist.
Well, we may suspect who they are.
Well, isn't it true that what we're doing is really chafing under the manacles of the inability to mention names? We all know who they are. We know that in Albany, at least one fellow who has been associated with the mafia, all right, with organized crime, all right, with that section which has infiltrated New Jersey laborers today, one of the most en courant, en rapport chaps in Albany when the state legislature is in session. Of course he's there. But so Victor, we don't mention names, but we do get to these microphones because William Brennan III, who didn't have the judiciousness of William Brennan II to keep still in this, as I think ricocheted, has said that 6 legislatures in Jersey, and obviously either the man is a fool or a crusader who talks too much, but obviously he must have the 6 names in mind.
But there's a history, Vic, there's a history.
But we get to this.
Charlie Banaggio said, I've got to control the next governor of this state in Missouri. And when he didn't control the governor, he was machine gunned in the political club that he was the leader of in Missouri. You don't have to go back as far as 1948. Right now, you have a rather strong allegation made by Life magazine about a member of the Congress. I hope that we hear the full argument pro and con. I'm not prejudging anything, but I do think, for example, that Congressman Gallagher of New Jersey is entitled to the same full and complete hearing that Congressman Clayton Powell got by a body of his own peers in the Congress. Well, I hope that he gets that.
Would you, Dave Satz, as the U.S. Attorney for the region of New Jersey, urge this? Here there was a wiretap. I mean, was there a conversation? Was there not a conversation? All I know is that a hearing of some House subcommittee under somebody from Florida, Mr. Gallagher got terribly exercised about the use of a computer that Fred Vinson Jr. was talking about, and said, well, this might be a violation of civil liberties, and what happens, how do you program it out, and so on. But what have you to say as the regional attorney about wiretaps, which...
Well, wait a minute. We're talking about wiretaps?
No, we're talking about Gallagher. We're talking about... Let's talk about wiretap. Let's talk about Gallagher.
Concerned.
Let's talk about Gallagher. Let's talk about the fact that wiretapping has been legal for some 30 years, like this state.
Not in New Jersey.
But
New Jersey, it's flatly illegal and has been always since the concept, whether you go back to 605 and the Federal Communications Act.
I think Victor is talking about the federal area where bugging, at least, was conducted by federal agents until 1965, when President Johnson, and with the concurrence of Attorney General Clark, signed an executive memorandum which still exists to this day, tonight.
That's right,
correct. We have a very sad situation tonight. We have the Supreme Court having spoken, having said that it is not unconstitutional per se.
And
the legislative branch has responded to that by passing eavesdropping section in the Safe Streets Act. We've heard from those two branches of government, and the executive branch, as of this moment, still has an executive memorandum saying that federal agents cannot use that which has, at least to that degree, been approved by both the legislative branch and the judiciary.
And in addition to that, Victor,
the national crime...
and in addition to that, Frank Hogan, who is Mr. District Attorney, has stated that wiretapping and eavesdropping is the single most important weapon in the arsenal of law enforcement to combat organized crime.
There have been some differences.
With all of that, it's still not utilized in the federal government. And the FBI is for it, and as far as I know, most of the U.S. attorneys appointed by the Attorney General are for it. In fact, I know very few that are against it.
As a matter of fact, Vic,
well, we also know that the National Crime Commission appointed by the President recommended the use of the wiretapping. Well, what are we saying? We're saying that the President said, look, you should only use this in cases of national security, which means counter-espionage.
I'll say something more than that.
Why?
Mr. Clark, the federal Attorney General,
what are we saying?
And Mr. Sills, the Attorney General in New Jersey, have had various little differences.
But what are we saying?
The one thing on which they were both agreed was that we should not have electronic surveillance. That was the one thing that they both agreed on.
But what are we insinuating?
I'm insinuating, I'm not insinuating anything. I am stating that there are certain public officials who have not been responsive to the record. The record is, and you read the Airtels in Rhode Island.
That's right.
The record is that you can obtain certain information by electronic surveillance which is in no other way available to you. You can't talk about lazy investigators or lazy prosecutors. There is a certain type of information which is in no other way available to you.
Let's get to Dave Sachs.
Let's finish this,
Yeah,
Victor,
all right,
because this is important in my opinion.
But what you're saying is
now,
that
what
the
I'm saying,
President of the
now
United States...
I've heard certain people who write for newspapers say, well, what does one get out of electronic surveillance?
Yes.
Every big narcotic case that has been made in the States, in New York State, 90% of them have been based upon electronic surveillance, because the only way you can move is when you know the narcotics is there. The only time you can get a search warrant is when you know the narcotics has been delivered. We have gotten 16 pounds of 90% pure heroin by dint of wiretapping. We have gotten a mill busted up in the Bronx in which there were 20 pounds of heroin and 20 people working and cutting up this heroin, which would make some $1.5 million bags as a result of wiretapping.
Right, and in
the boxing investigation, wiretapping brought those people to justice. In the case involving the insurance frauds that Al Scotty worked on, it was wiretapping that brought those people to the bar of justice.
If you read those bugs in Providence, Rhode Island, you heard Raymond Patriarca talk about our friend in the Attorney General's office. A piece of information.
Why hasn't that story been picked up? Why wasn't that story picked up?
Well, you also have the allegations.
That was singularly the most fantastic oversight by the press of this country I have ever seen. Those Airtels are the most fabulous, including the fact that one of the Cosa Nostra people talked to so-called Cosa Nostra people talk to Patriarch and complains that his son is not calling Mama regularly, and the word goes out. And to me, this was most significant. I know you're all busting crime, and you're well, of course,
Victor,
the two of you.
Victor.
Let me say this. So he rules that not only will this boy talk to his mother once or twice a week, but he'll send her $10 each time. But the fact of the matter is that Ralph, is really one of the most fantastic stories.
Right. I think one of the best things that could be done, Victor.
Victor, let me just finish for a moment.
No.
The State Liquor Authority investigation was based on eavesdropping and wiretapping. Every large-scale investigation involving municipal corruption or organized crime had its basis.
If you want an impressive list, Bert,
the McClellan Committee.
If you want an impressive list,
committee
no double
got
check.
its information
No
as a result of wiretapping and eavesdropping.
Well,
all the intelligence on organized crime
Well, what-
has come about as a result of wiretapping.
and if you want an impressive list, just look at the list that the Department of Justice admitted to the Supreme Court. Convictions had been obtained on the basis of electronic surveillance.
The Colot case.
No, I'm talking about a whole bunch of them, beginning the first case in which the federal government made an admission was the Black case. That was Bobby Baker's partner. That was the first one which was reversed. The second one was the one of Gentleman Joe Schapani in Brooklyn.
Victor,
and there are a
just-
long list there.
Victor, let me just say this, Victor.
Yes.
Isn't it more reliable, isn't it fairer to have the voice of the culprit, the defendant on the phone admitting his complicity as a result of a court-ordered, court-sanctioned, what amounts to a search warrant, to hear a conversation of crime, than to listen to some bum who's an informant, who the federal government will pull up, who is looking to save himself years in jail and says, I was involved with this one or that one. Is that more reliable?
Well, now-
Is that more fair?
Bert-
Does that adhere more to the principles of civil rights and civil liberties in our country
Bert-
than utilizing a court-sanctioned, court-restricted wiretap, which is equated by the Supreme Court with a search warrant?
Well, Bert, you make your point, and you make it quite strongly, and I think Ralph, no, I think that comes out of the great strength of conviction, and that puts the strength into the voice. But do let me say this, if I pull it all together, and I'd like to get back to Dave Satz, it insinuates, and I'll say it as bluntly as I can, that for some reason that is not entirely due to President Johnson's instinct for civil liberties. We're not talking about civil rights, but civil liberties, as we used to distinguish them. He has denied this powerful weapon to the law enforcement agencies. This is what you're saying, and therefore has hampered the war on organized crime. This is what I gather from your rather strong presentation, from yours, Ralph Salerno, and I'd like to hear from the federal attorney.
Well, you're going to hear a little bit of the other side, because I think Ramsey Clark cannot just be judged on the fact that he took, through the president and directly, a stand from an executive administration point against the use under the Safe Streets and Crime Control Act, against the use of the court-ordered bugging. And I don't even like to think in terms of wiretapping. We're beyond that now with the various sophisticated devices. Personally, I may have some problems with it. As I'm sure Ramsey Clark himself has some problems with the ultimate stand he took. But when you're getting down to organized crime, and you're getting down to the basic ingredients of fighting crime of any type, and organized crime is wrapped right up with it, then I get on my high horse to defend Mr. Clark to this extent.
And the president.
And completely. Well, and the president. I'm looking at my boss right now, for as long as he will be my boss. The money that he has gotten through various programs, and Ralph, you're part of that, the various standards that have been set, I feel have gone further in helping to fight crime and organized crime than anyone in the past, and this you have to look at in the sense of history. Now, let me go ahead with this for a second, Ralph. I'm not trying to make a speech.
Maybe it could even be better.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. Now, just a moment. I think this is a whole thing
Give Mr.
of
Sachs.
dealing with organized crime. If you start out with principles of intelligence, if you start in with investigation
The
and then
strike
prosecution.
forces. Do you
I've got a
strike
very
force,
simple one. Yeah, but wait a minute, Dave. How come FBI men are not on the strike forces? Why aren't they on the team?
They
Well, they're
don't.
cooperating. Now, wait a minute. You
They
go,
do
Ralph.
not participate in the strike forces to the same extent that agents from Federal Narcotics, Secret Service, ATU, and
Labor
other
Department.
agencies participate. They are not participating.
I'm quite sure that you'll find, and I do not know personally of why they are not officially connected, if you want to use the term official. I don't mean that you
They're not
used
in
it,
the
but
coordinated force,
they
obviously.
are coordinated and cooperating to the fullest extent to my knowledge.
That's
Now,
not true.
that may vary from place to place, and I'm not one to characterize the extent to which they are cooperating. But I'm really getting at this. And if you want to look at strike forces, Ralph, you described them well. And I'm glad they're going to be in New Jersey. I've said this before. We've asked for it. They've been coming in.
You don't think they
board
supersede you? You don't think Jim Featherstone's
I
group?
don't feel they would, and I hope that they don't, and I'm sure that they haven't. I can point to correspondence and so on. We've had excellent relations with the Department of Justice. You're dealing with manpower. I can only stand on my record of having cooperated and had people from the organized crime section throughout my 7.5 years of being in the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey, starting out with Henry Ruth, the very person that helped you start there. And Henry then went back to Washington and went on to the National Crime Commission and so on. But what I'm saying here about Ramsey Clark, and putting it in your context, Bert, where you say, well, we need that, why not have it? Maybe at some time, shortly or otherwise, with or without a change of administration. I know that there will be one. There will be a change of thinking in this regard. I think that there has to be first things first and a whole refocusing of attacking crime. A lot of that has taken place in policy, some in legislation. The ideas that have been suggested by people like Ralph Salerno, that have been tried by people like Burton Roberts to make them what they are today, are things that have to be adopted throughout the entire country.
Yeah, but Dave, you see, we get away
Well, let's
from little
refocus. Ralph, no,
Vic
I'm
asked the question earlier. He said, was there or was there not a wiretap, which had Congressman Gallagher talking to Bayonne Joe Ziccarelli. That question was asked by a member of the Congress of Attorney General Clark. His reply can only be described as a letter in very carefully couched terms, which doesn't seem to answer the question. Was there or wasn't there? Unless you hit the gut issues such as this, all the science and technology in the world is not going to help us fight organized crime if we don't hit it in the political area, too.
There was, as a matter of fact, wasn't there? Dave
To whom are
Sachs.
you asking that question?
Dave
I do not know. I know how Life magazine characterized it. Ramsey Clark made a statement, and he has access to information that I simply don't. And if you'll bear with me for a minute, Ralph knows and Burton knows, at least under Section 605 and under the cases that Ralph started to describe before, and the public has to understand this, no prosecutor wants to have if we're trying to avoid a taint, meaning a lead to a tap, we do not want to have knowledge of the particular tap or bug, because then we will have to reveal it. Under the federal cases, as you know, Ralph, you get into the situation where you have to let's say an informant walks off the street today and gives you a piece of information, and you proceed to investigate, indict, try, and convict. During the process of trial, you were asked the question of, with some support, there was a tap involved. Or was there a tap involved, and give me the source of your information. This is what was the grounding of the Bobby Baker and Chapani and Black cases and so on, and is presently being considered in other respects by the Supreme Court today. If there was a tap, a bug, or whatever you call it, and the prosecutor had wind of it, then he's got to reveal the whole source, the tap, and everything. If he can show that he had nothing to do with the source of the information, then he is able to stand up and prove that the burden's on him, the prosecutor, to prove that there was no tap. And in that way, his information is clean and he escapes any constitutional...
Well, let me just...
Because don't forget the taps are not done under court order up until now. We're dealing with pre-Safe Streets and Crime Control Act, so we have to talk about it in that
You're
context.
talking about something which was a violation of law.
Right.
Illegal wiretaps, if they existed. Now, you see, this is where people get the misconception. Illegal wiretapping, I think, is just deplorable. It's a crime. It should be prosecuted vigorously. When I talk about wiretapping and I talk about eavesdropping, I'm talking about a court-restricted type of
Bert,
eavesdropping.
I agree
Well,
with you.
well, let me break in.
Something which is
Bert.
equivalent to a search warrant,
I'm answering the question of Victor's.
Yeah,
That's why
let
I
me
said
get
what I did.
let me get to this. Let me refocus this for a minute because we're running on to almost 5 or 6 minutes before.
I might
we-
say that 605, is now repealed by dint
Very
of the
true,
new
Bert. I
legislation.
answered a question of Victor's here, and that's in that particular context. I'm not talking about the present law.
Let me get to this. We have the law, and through all this discussion runs an insinuation on the part of some of us around the table, I think at this east end of the table, if I'm geographically correct, that there are some forces, and we don't impugn their motives, I gather, or we may be impugning their motives, who say there shall not be the use of this effective weapon, as Bert Roberts puts it. Now we get down to the influence of government in this fight on organized crime. We have young, in quotes, William Brennan III, saying that there are 6 legislators who feel cozy. He wanted to keep this a secret, so he told it to 20 newspapermen. Now, with the underworld.
There were only 3 at that time.
Well, he found 3 more. Ralph Salerno now brings up the very dramatic Peace and Life magazine. My good friend Bill Lambert, I consider a very fine newsman. And we again come to the insinuation that there is influence in the Congress, which is friendly with this. This was printed in Life magazine, and Congressman Gallagher has refuted it, and he should have his day in the public arena, and so on. Now, what I'm saying to you is, do you think in your state that Life magazine was wrong? Do you think in your state William Brennan was wrong? Do you think, and then I'd like to ask Mr. Roberts and Mr. Salerno, that there is or there is not this kind of coziness or influence by the legislators on this fight? That is, coziness with the Cosa Nostra, influence on the fight against crime. Do you place any credence in what Claire Curran Johnson has said about the pressures on somebody in the New Jersey legislature? This, I think, is the gut question that I want to put to you as the top-ranking law enforcement official, representative of the government in the state of New Jersey.
I am going to wait to hear what is said to the legislature or the committee by the various people who have made their assertions.
Of your knowledge, you don't know.
Now, let me just say this, though. I'm not just going to go on or go out with that kind of remark. I think any legislature is subject to all sorts of pressures, the same way as Mr. Salerno and Mr. Roberts have already talked about it when you put the question to them about New York. I feel that some of the material that is being bandied about may not be, let's say, raised to the criminal level. It may be conflicts of interest. Maybe it's just plain old common sense that people have to sort of shake themselves up and look at. The State Investigation Commission, the Joint Legislative Commission, that there's so many commissions being formed now, I think that
You need an anti-prolif-
I think law enforcement is going to pull in their horns and not start giving information out because there's so much competition. But to the extent that what has been said, the so-called exposure to the problem, that may very well be good in the long run so that people can set some standards. Now, darn it all, the legislature for the past 10, 15 years has been in New Jersey considering a conflict of interest bill. Some parts of it have been passed, other parts have been rejected, and I dare say that some of the things that may be brought up at these commission hearings will be conflict of interest. Some of it, as Mr. Brennan has said, at least in one case, there's a crime. Now, that's going to have to go through the regular processes for the purpose of appropriate investigation. The truth will out, and the chips fall where they may. I can only say that in order to learn the degree of this, we're just going to have to wait to see, and I'm not going to draw any conclusions. I think that a lot of people can be corrupt. It's are they corrupt, and what is the atmosphere behind it? And New Jersey recognizes this, and as Ralph said when I talked about state police, you do have very legitimate and hard fighting organizations to combat this. You also have the problem of the public giving, and I'm so serious about this, enough time and effort and money to fighting not just the looter on the corner, the person that's breaking into the store. You've got to give money and effort from the top command right down to the cop on the beat so that you can prove local law enforcement, so that people aren't taking bribes, et cetera, right down the line. I don't know, that could be another program of it in itself. I think to date, one of the reasons why New Jersey hasn't had the tools to fight some of this has been because they've been shortchanged in large degree in certain areas and been ignored. The organized crime problem has been there. We've fought it. As you know, the strike force is going to augment what we've done. And on the state level, attention has to be paid and focused on the problem, and the improvement can come all the way around.
Dave, do you think that New Jersey deserves the appellation of being the most corrupt state in the nation?
I think there are other states that are equally, if not more, corrupt.
Most of them are south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, there's certain things that happen in other metropolitan areas which come to the attention of the public once in a while, which are
No,
some magnitude.
I'd
don't
say
mean
this. I can go
compare
back to
one with another.
65, Dave. I can go back to 1965 when
This
two
is Ralph Salerno.
men from the New York City Police Department, an FBI agent and a state trooper, went to cover a wake over there. They
Where?
notified in Jersey City.
Yeah.
They notified the local police. They were not tiptoeing around or gumshoeing around. They were made welcome there. They made their observations, and they did this because they had information that a gentleman now living in Florida, Eddie McGrath, who still exercises some control on the waterfront, was coming north to that wake, and it would be used as a meeting place for others from New York who wanted to meet him. That was their interest in covering the thing. Everything went along fine until a political figure showed up to pay his respects at that wake, found out that there were law enforcement men taking license plate numbers and making observation, and 4 law enforcement men were given a police escort out of Jersey City to the tunnel and told that they would be arrested if they ever came back. Now, I don't think that kind of an occurrence has any counterpart in the history of law enforcement in this country, and that's part of the sordid record of New Jersey.
What about the effort to go down, take a good look at Marcello's domain, and the locals refusing down in Louisiana to give them either a plane or a helicopter to go over, and they had to go to the military to
Ralph,
go.
I'm not trying to defend the state completely. You know that we're fighting just as hard as anyone else, and there's, as I said in my little discussion, an awful lot of improvement and beef that has to be put in, an orientation towards the effort. And
Yeah,
you
but
do
one of the-
have
see, but one of the
pockets
things that
in New
one of the
Jersey
things
which will
that
have to be rooted
one of the
out.
things that Attorney General Sills has complained about is that the federal government has not given him all the cooperation he could have.
Well, that's a subject of some more minutes than
Would you-
just 30
could you say-
seconds.
could you say yes or no?
I say that that's not so, that he has been given substantial cooperation.
We'll have to, as they say in the radio business, cut because of the time. You've just been listening to U.S. Attorney for the region of New Jersey, David Satz, and to Ralph Salerno, a crime consultant and former head of the Mafia Desk of the Central Intelligence Bureau of the New York City Police Department, and to the very energetic and outspoken Burton Roberts, District Attorney of the Borough of the Bronx, my home borough. This is Victor Rizal of the Publishers Syndicate. Gentlemen, thanks, and if you want to stay, we'll go for another 2 hours. Good night. Good evening. This is Victor Rizal with the interview of the week. We cut across our traditional lines this evening, and our guest is from what we would call upstate New York, and it's Senator John H. Hughes, who is chairman of the Joint Legislative Committee on Crime, who, with his hearings last week, startled the city with the revelations of what many of us didn't know was going on Wall Street and the invasion of business. And now, Senator, we understand you're going to start a new series of hearings tomorrow morning, and I wonder whether or not you couldn't talk a little about them and why you're going into them and the general purposes of the committee, but why and where tomorrow morning?
Well, tomorrow morning we meet at the County Lawyers Association building on Vesey Street, and this is a committee, a joint legislative committee, with the, as you say, designated to investigate crime generally and all of its aspects. We did start the hearings 2 weeks ago on organized crime and its relation to business. And then a week ago in the Senate on Monday, Senator Giuffrida of Suffolk County gave a talk in which he criticized bitterly the administration of the state university unit there called Stony Brook, and suggested that some inquiry ought to be made in regard to arrests which had been carried out by the police department in connection with the use of dope by students.
Well, Senator, there must have been some preliminary hearings, testimony, or you're familiar with what you're going into, or you wouldn't be sitting in the chair there. What have you found so far that's indicative of the use of narcotics? Is it narcotics? Is it heroin? Is it marijuana? Is it LSD? What are you looking for? What do
Well,
you
I
think
understand it's a little of everything, Mr. Reisel. The way it came about was this. Senator Giuffrida says that about a year ago he had complaints from various people about the use of drugs of one kind or another at this campus. And so he took it up with the president of the state university there and talked with him and told him that he thought it would be well if they had this problem to clean it up. And then he claims that he had reassurances from then on until the fall of 1967, at which time he said that he had assurances that the situation was well in hand. He got a contrary view from the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Barry, and this subsequently followed up with what's been referred to as a raid, although it wasn't really a raid. I guess it was really arrests. The matter was brought to the attention of the grand jury, and some 38 people were indicted for the sale of narcotics of one kind or another, which in each instance is a felony. And my understanding is they went in on a given night, whenever it was, a few weeks ago, and picked up the persons whom the grand jury had indicted.
Well, is there any reason to believe that there's a relationship to organized crime? Are these who were arrested just independent pushers, and what were they pushing, Senator?
Well, I don't think this is not directly related to the question of organized crime, which I mentioned a few minutes earlier. Sure. It is a subject matter in and of itself. On the other hand, it would appear from this preliminary information which I have that there were quantities of various types of drugs which were being used on the campus.
Could we go into those? Was there heroin? Was there LSD?
I don't know about heroin, but they've mentioned hashish and marijuana and opium, and then the barbiturates of one kind or another.
LSD as well?
And LSD. And whatever variations of that.
How widely used were they?
Well, I've heard all sorts of figures, from 400 to maybe 1,000 or more.
What you're
individuals.
Saying, you mean at Stony Brook?
Yes.
Undergraduates at the
That's right.
State University?
But this was apparently, it appears to be, and this we'll find out from the testimony of the people who were there, a rather loosely operated affair, because finally the police put their own undercover men in the institution, and they lived there, and apparently this was an easy thing to do. They didn't have to make any arrangements with the university. As I understand it, you simply move in. If you make a friend who will harbor you in his room, this is a place for you to live. So these undercover men spent considerable time there, how much I don't know, and they discovered and made the cases, I guess, upon which the indictments were later rendered.
Well, Senator, college was never like this for us, I would say.
No, and apparently this isn't the only place. This is just one, and I don't think this should be considered to be an indictment of the whole university system by any means. But
well, could we, Senator, go into first your rough estimate of between 400 and 1,000? How many students are there at the Stony Brook?
I think just over 5,000.
Well, roughly then we'd find that anywhere from 8 to 10% to 20% of the students possibly are involved in taking some form of marijuana at this one section of the State University.
If the information which has been given me, which is hearsay, is true, yes.
What, by hearsay you mean from the police department?
Well, I don't have it from the police department. I have it from the senator who talked with a lot of people involved in this.
Where is it coming from? Who's selling it?
Well, I was told last night by my counsel, who stopped by to bring me up to date on our hearing.
Chief counsel for your...
Yes, his name is Edward McLaughlin, and he is a Syracusan now. That actually there were people on the campus who were, you remember how the fellows used to give out gum to get you interested in juicy fruit or whatever it might be? Well, apparently they had some people on the campus who were doing that sort of thing with marijuana cigarettes, and then suggesting that there are other forms of the same type of thing if people wanted it.
Well, what would be the source of this? You have, I'm sure, been in contact with the state police, the state troopers, possibly the New York City police, and, of course, the police commissioners there.
Well, I'm frank to say that I don't know what the source is. I don't know. I think there are a series of individuals, all of those, as I understand it, of 38 persons who have been indicted in this one transaction.
Students, sir?
I was just going to say 38 persons, of whom I understand 21 were students and 17 were outsiders. And now these are persons, as I pointed out, who apparently were allowed to live on the campus. I don't mean that this was sponsored by the college or university, but they were there by sufferance.
Isn't this, without indicting the president, the dean of men, women, it's a co-ed, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Isn't it rather lax? Isn't there no supervision, not only for the infiltration of whatever narcotics there are, and obviously if it can run as high as 20%, that's considerable. What sort of administration can there be of a university section?
Well, I think this is a good question. I hope we'll find the answer after we listen to the witnesses. We have, I think, coming tomorrow, we have the representatives of the police department have been subpoenaed, and the people in the administration whom we think might add to the story to tell us what their views or their version of it is.
Senator, is there any indication anybody in the administration might be part of this in some fashion? It doesn't seem likely that this could happen without someone in authority knowing it.
Well, I think this is a fairly logical conclusion, but frankly, I can't say anything. I don't want to conclude this until I hear the testimony.
Well, neither are we, but I mean, it would seem that somebody should have known that if 1 out of every 5 possibly was taking some sort of narcotic, it could be opium, and certainly LSD, why there might have been a more stricter administration. Before we get into another angle of this, Senator, it's traditional on this program to say that across this WEVD microphone this evening is State Senator John H. Hughes, head of the Joint Legislative Committee on Crime, who has been going into crime in our business and organized crime, and now going into the prevalence of narcotics, opium, marijuana, and so on the campuses. Where else did you say, Senator, there was such use?
Well, again, I can't speak of personal knowledge, but I have a letter that came in today from one of the senators who represents the area around Buffalo, Erie County. And he asked if we would come up and make inquiry with respect to the State University at Buffalo. I had a call this morning from the district attorney of Tompkins County, which is where Ithaca is located. And he says that the situation at Cornell and he also suggests Ithaca College, which is in the same city, needs investigation. And I guess from what he said, they'd had a meeting of various district attorneys around the state, and this is not peculiar to any one school, but to a greater or lesser degree, there's a prevalence of it in the colleges. And he suggests that, and some of them suggest that also some of this is getting into high schools.
Any specific areas?
No, except he indicated that he knew about it in some of the high school areas.
Well, Senator, then what you've got is a monumental task, and your preliminary investigations give any substance to this? Now, you've talked of the Buffalo area. There are enormously large universities.
Well, they're talking about State University of Buffalo.
Oh, the State University
That's
of
right.
Buffalo. And possibly Cornell, Ithaca College.
Cornell University.
And high
he
schools.
Was talking about. Yeah.
Well, is there any evidence to show this is seeping down into the high schools?
I think there has been. I don't think this is particularly new. I think this has been true someplace on the island. I think in Westchester that I know of, and the as I say, the district attorney in Tompkins County suggested there was something to this up his way.
Senator, I was that fascinated that I forgot to say that, though I presume my audience knows it, that I'm Victor Rizal of the Publishers Hall Syndicate, Syracuse Post-Standard.
Syracuse Post-Standard, great paper.
Great paper indeed. And in this area, I should say, the New York Newark Evening News. And we have our colleague from the AP here of 1,900 dailies. I wonder how one amasses that many. Senator, what will be the form of your investigation? You're going to be there for 2 days.
On this subject, we'll be there for 2 days, presumably tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we have under subpoena a representative of the police department, and I've left it to my counsel to select. It'll be the commissioner and those people who...
The commissioner of...
Commissioner Barry of Suffolk County Police.
Yeah.
and then the president of the school, and some of the persons who would be directly under him who would have responsibility for management and discipline and this sort of thing, you see.
Well, Senator, from there, if you find that there's substance to it, or whether you don't find any substance at Stony Brook, and now that you find that district attorneys and state senators, your colleagues, are coming to you with this other evidence, will you hold other hearings?
We will. We will. There's a limit, of course, as to what you can do, but I suggested that he discuss, Mr. Thaler is the district attorney of Tompkins County. I suggested today that as long as they'd been in conference, they go back in again and come up with some sort of a plan instead of a hit and miss proposition, that we could sort of centralize this and see to what extent it, the other schools are infected.
Well, how far do your plans go now after these 2 days?
I think it's hard to tell. I think we go as far as we think we need to. If this situation, Stony Brook, which has been specifically assigned to us, if this situation is in need of further inquiry, we'll make it.
Where, at Stony Brook?
Well, we may go to Stony Brook. This meeting will be in New York City.
Sure.
These 2 meetings will be in New York City.
But, Senator, it's a very startling concept to hear that your own colleagues and the DAs of other counties, Erie and then Tompkins and the rest, are finding this going into the universities and into the colleges. Do you have any idea from your own investigations into organized crime which might lead to the source of the organization supplying this varied form of narcotics to school children, high school children, as well as colleges? There must be some thoughts, some basis that your committee has discovered.
Well, compared to what you know about it, I'm strictly an amateur on this subject of organized crime. But I've had enough evidence of its infiltration into most everything that you could think of. And traditionally, narcotics, as well as gambling and so on, have been basics in providing the wherewithal. And therefore, I would assume that if there is widespread use of these drugs, there must be pretty good substantial sources. And if, as was suggested to me, that some people are on the campus actually as in the sort of salesmen, I suppose they're the lower echelon, but they must have to get their material from some larger, greater source.
Senator, have you been to see George Belka or Giordano or George Gaffney of the local and the federal bureaus of narcotics? I mean, have you talked to them? Do they say anything? Do they cooperate with you?
No, we haven't gotten into that with them, actually. No, we haven't.
They might. I find them 3 very excellent men. They might be a good source.
Mr. Anslinger has been a consultant for us. He was the director of the bureau, as you remember, for a good many years, and now is with the United Nations.
Is Harry Anslinger one of your?
That's right.
He's a very old and very great friend.
Yeah.
He's a little
very talented man in this field.
And is he now with the narcotics?
He's with the he's with the United Nations as a sort of a consultant on the subject of narcotics.
Oh, well, gee, you awakened great memories. It was Harry Anslinger who in 1953, I went to dinner at the White House the other night, and I always now say 1968 or 1950.
I read about it.
Well, thank you, Senator Hughes.
I always read about you.
That's that other party we're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
But the Senator, 1953, Anslinger arranged for me to go on a narcotics raid out of Yokohama. And we did, and I think with the narcotics police, we hit a house, a woman who was attempting to subvert our troops, and she was. We got a search warrant, and she was arrested, did 10 years later. I remember telling it to Harry, it's the first raid I've ever covered my bare feet. We got into the house, took my shoes off. But, Senator, if suppose you do find this, and you are going to other universities, what will you do with your report when you get to it?
Well, I think we go back to the legislature, and it's our job, of course, in this, so we'll understand each other. In this Stony Brook transaction, our particular relationship to this is on the criminal side. There's another committee which is headed by Assemblyman Kotler, which has to do with higher education, and this is a very broad concept. Everything that would be involved in the state university, and apparently he's going to do something about this too. I don't know what his attitude will be, but as far as we're concerned, the question, really the basic question here is, were the authorities, the administration of the university, were they cooperating with the police or weren't they? And
That's a very serious matter.
The suggestion has been made, and I suppose it'll be pro and con when we hear the witnesses. The suggestion has been made that the university, by the police, that the university was not cooperating. They gave them an opportunity to, and they didn't. And under these circumstances, their idea is that the campus became a sanctuary for offenders, if you will, because the police were not allowed to come in, and they were the judges and the jury.
They, you mean the faculty?
The administration would decide, and actually they had a rule to this effect, that one of the officers, whatever his title may be, should first pass on the propriety of contacting the police. He would determine, in the case of a given student, as to whether this was something should be brought to attention of public authorities. And we don't think, of course, if this is true, that there should be
sanctuary.
Two rules. The same rules for everybody apply.
In other words, what you might discover, and you think you've been discovering, is that somewhat in the Latin American tradition, mostly where universities, and I remember them well having covered them, are sanctuary even for murderers. And now we find that the police, if they cannot get on here, the universities could become sanctuary. I suppose you and your colleagues will look to prevent that.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Well, Senator, just let me say again to the audience that the voice you've been hearing is that of Senator John H. Hughes, Chairman of the Joint Legislative Committee on Crime, and we've been talking about the possibility of universities, or at least some, or one, having been the sanctuary for narcotics pushing and narcotics peddling, narcotics using, because the police could not, for a while, go onto the campus, and tomorrow morning there'll be a hearing on Stony Brook. But could we swing now to the future plans on organized crime? Your hearings into that are not over.
No, we just actually just gotten them underway. We had 2 days, 2 weeks ago and last week. And we were scheduled to go on tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday of this week, but because of this interruption, we postponed that temporarily. I would think before sometime in the middle of February maybe, we'll get back to the question of organized crime again.
Where are you going to be looking for organized crime? I mean,
well, what we've done so far, of course, has been to get the benefit of the experience of the police department. We've had as witnesses the Inspector Cattell, the head of the Central Intelligence Bureau here in the city. We've talked with one man who recently led a task force in the Erie County area in connection with one particular group up there who were involved in organized crime, and we've heard from others who were actually have been working in this field for a long time. And then we've had the benefit of listening to a number of recordings. These would be either miniphone or wiretap or a bug of some sort. And
recordings by whom?
By recordings of the conversations by those participants in whatever criminal acts were involved at the time.
Well, now, where are you going from here? What had you intended to do tomorrow before you were interrupted by the gravity of the situation?
We have a number of people under subpoena, and the project that we were going after, or the vein in which we were moving, because there's so many ways that we can move, as you know, was in the area of labor consultants.
Well, now, wait a minute. Let's us get into this in detail.
I thought maybe
this is Victor Rizal of the Publishers Whole Syndicate, talking to Senator John H. Hughes, Chairman of the Joint Legislative Committee. Senator, what do you mean?
Exactly that.
Who?
Well, you mean who would be subpoenaed?
Yes.
Well, we've subpoenaed Mr. Gambino. We've subpoenaed Johnny Dio. We've subpoenaed a man named Musto, who was involved in who runs a meat business out on the island, and a series of others. I can't remember the names of all the people, you see.
What do you...
We think this is one area where there has been an invasion, which is really hard to pin down. I'm sure you know much more about it than I do, but we're going to try to get the people in.
What are you looking for example, in the area of labor consultants?
We think that, one, that... and I think probably if we can prove it, that many businessmen are submitting to the services which these people have to offer, because this is an easy way to do it, and they get certain benefits, whatever they may be. And to this end, we hope to bring in not only those who we think are the accused, those who would be involved in this thing, but to bring in the legitimate business people too, and ask them why, if a company A or Association A, which had to do claims hold itself out to be labor consultants, and it develops that they seem to be on both sides of the street, mixed up with a union, so-called, and with an association. We want to find out how come what type of service did they render them? This type of thing.
Let's take Carlo Gambino. What has he any clients now?
I don't know whether he does or not. He was a member of that firm as the SG&S. That's right.
Well, what do you expect to get from Gambino? He's the head of one, according to the reports and the legislative testimony and so on, he's the head of one of the 5 so-called Cosa Nostra families here. Now, he's reputed to be a very tough guy with a very bad ticker. I was just wondering what would you expect to get from Carlo Gambino?
I really don't know what we'd get from him. I think this is a matter of inquiry. Maybe he wouldn't answer. Maybe he won't come. I don't know.
Was it difficult getting him served?
I think not. I think we had people out a week ago serving, I think simultaneously.
And what about Johnny Dio? What do you expect?
His lawyer called our counsel.
Who's his lawyer?
His lawyer, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And you, well, of course, undoubtedly they'll come in and take the fifth. But I'm curious, do you know of any unions with which they're allegedly associated, or any?
I personally don't know.
In what areas? Would it be the waterfront? Would it be real estate? Would it be food?
I think maybe in I don't know about real estate, but I think probably in food and trucking possibly, and waterfront to some extent, yes. Mm-hmm.
And you must have some procedure in addition to that. Are there any labor leaders you're going to call?
I don't know at this point.
Or businessmen, specific businessmen?
I don't have any specific names, but this is our intent.
Well, in the labor relations field, then what you're looking for is the tie between the employer who uses the so-called Cosa Nostra types against the unions, or unions which are infiltrated. Are you going into any unions at all?
I think we will if it develops that they're not real. We have understanding that some of these unions are really not unions for the benefit of the union member. I had a man call me last night in my office in the Capitol, and he was very secretive about what he wanted to tell me. And I don't know him from Joe Brown. He told me what his name was, but he didn't want anybody to know. And then he went on to tell about how these people in his union were being exploited, and he tied it into this sort of thing and said he's not been able to get any satisfaction anywhere. Now, whether this is a good story or it isn't, or whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Well,
I propose to have someone see him and discuss the matter.
Well, they're all very secretive, and of course they're...
Well, they're afraid. He says he's afraid. Now, whether he is or not, I don't know.
Well, they are, I can tell you that. Senator, in any of your crisscrossing investigations, have you run into those involved in the Marcus, so-called Marcus scandal? Tony Ducks Corralo, in addition to Johnny Dio, there's a Mr. Danny Moto of the Bakery and Confectionery Workers Local out here. Is there anything of that sort that come across your purview?
No, I haven't heard any by names, except I think maybe some of the police department mentioned Corralo's name in the course of discussions, but I can't remember in what context. But I can say this, that it appears that one of the big things in this day and age is the question of loan sharking, and that this is a vehicle by which they get to people who otherwise would be responsible people, legitimate people in a community, and get to use them. And we heard some of these discussions, of course, on the recordings which were made.
Are you going to subpoena Tony Ducks?
I don't know about that, and I don't know whether he's under indictment, whether he would talk anyway.
Let me ask you, I guess none of them really will, but let me ask you this about wiretapping. Do you think there's enough or not enough wiretapping? You think the enemies of so-called eavesdropping, electronic eavesdropping of any kind, are enemies of the war on crime, or enemies?
I think two things.
Sure.
One is I think that there has been a lot of indiscriminate wiretapping.
By whom?
I think by police agencies all over. I think that has been pretty loose, and by district's attorney. We subpoenaed the records of the New York telephone company here a few weeks ago, and we found that, and I don't know what this proves, but this was just New York, and there are a lot of independent companies, as you know, in the state other than New York. Yeah. But there were 22,000 in 12 years.
22,000
orders.
Orders.
Orders. Now, how many there may have been which were, put on without an order or whatever, no one knows. But the point I make is that I think that there has been maluse probably in many instances, and that the Supreme Court, there's some merit in the things the Supreme Court said. On the other hand, I think that if the police are denied the use of this legitimately, that they've lost contact.
Are you going into the 22,000? Are you going to?
We're going to, but again, this is a big job too.
Sure.
You know, you got to have people to actually. Yeah, we're going to find out who. We're going to have a breakdown of these and where they came from and so on, and try to determine the validity of how many. You see.
I'm going to break in because, as they say on those great big networks, that's all the time we have, and tell the audience out there that this exciting discussion has been with Senator John H. Hughes of Syracuse, a great town, a great newspaper town, too, who's chairman of the Joint Legislative Committee on Crime, and I'm Victor Rizal, also of the Syracuse Post-Standard,
Right.
the Publishers Hall Syndicate, and it's exciting to talk with you, and good luck in this fight.
Thank you.
Uh-oh! It's that time again. Straight out Far Rockaway Queens. DeJuan Lucian and the Six Borough Cartel. Rockin' with Black Wall Street Zone. You know what it is. The game's DJ Chris Stairs. This is so serious. You know how we do. We deep in Queens. So stand up. DeJuan Lucian and the Six Borough Cartel. You know how we do. Let's go.
Y'all niggas is liars. I spit fire like lighters and ghostwrite for ghostwriters, so most bite cause I'm the nicest reciter. I spit flame like stoves, I spit game like the Super Bowl. How you think you got to see Janet Jackson's titty? Change the game like Hove, change my name like P. Diddy. Yeah, it's DeJuan Lucian, but you could call me Lippy Luciano. That's right, half black Italiano, but this the real deal, this ain't the fucking Sopranos. So if you got beef, we could go mano y mano, but I pack a Big Mac, I come with one like McDonald's. And matter of fact, I'm number one like the combo.
Hold up. DeJuan Lucian and the Six Borough Cartel. Bring that shit back.
DeJuan Lucian and crew is coming through. So who the fuck is you? Man, who the fuck is you? DeJuan Lucian and crew is coming through. So who the fuck is you? Man, who the fuck is you? Nigga, your shit's garbage, like an incinerator. I spit the hardest, and I'm getting sick of haters. Investigators all over my ass, half-naked stripper bitches all over my cash. You can't stop or slow down when you living this fast. It's like when I and Mike asked Robin Givens for ass, damn. Now why I had to go down like that? You talk a lot of shit, and I don't like that. Yeah, I write raps and recite facts. You cats is tight whack, new to the game. You got the slightest idea what I'ma do to your name. Back in the day, you know what I would do for a chain? Now you see me on the block and I got numerous rings. You humorous, man, thinking you can fuck with my clique, cause I don't even pull up and all you do is talk shit like, what's he driving, what's he deciding? Lucian and crew is coming through. So who the fuck is you? Man, who the fuck is you? DeJuan Lucian and crew is coming through. So who the fuck is you? Man, who the fuck is you?
The Six Borough Cartel. Black Wall. DeJuan Lucian and your boy DJ Chris Stairs.
Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel. Yo, when I spit, shit hits accurate.
accurate. I'm fucking like a Catholic bitch. Drastic shit like changing my name, faking my death, and coming back to take over the game. Shit is insane, but I can't complain. Know how I do. Change the game when I start to claim power. People see me in the street and they eye screw like I don't carry rifles. Down my pants, legs, and pipes too. A couple knives too, just to slice you like a pizza pie. When you meet this guy, you be thinking that he's off the hook. Does he deal drugs or does he work off the books? These are often thoughts of crooks lost in the system. Pistol in their hand, searching for their next victim. People keep insisting, I'm losing it, I'm slipping. I'm driving and I'm sipping while you whining and you bitching. I'm climbing with persistence with a mind and a vision. So what y'all talking about, man? Six Borough Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel, kings of this queen shit. You don't start, it won't be shit. Nigga, Six Borough Cartel.
Rock away, you know I got you, man. Yeah. Hey, yo, my flow is impeccable, swag is immeasurable. 16's killer, just imagine what a track could do. Cause I can call Mac come through with a Mac or two and pistol whip your asses. See ego turn black and blue. Yes, I'm a savage too, call me an animal. Eating niggas on beach, I made me a cannibal. Let's stop with the bullshit, put the barrel in your mouth, bitch. Like 16 shots of Devil Springs, now swallow it. Rhymes like dope, man, lines of that cocaine. I was cut with the ether and was cooked in that propane. The competition can't see me, now let's do this. I'm the rap game's predator flow, it's translucent. J Crimson, just carving out my space. You can see what I'm saying without chatting on my space. What the fuck these niggas talking about? It must be the rock, cause we the only thing to talk about.
Yeah. Let's get it poppin'. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. We in the place. Check it out. Yeah. What up? Yeah. What up? Dropping jewels on tracks. I school y'all cats. I keep the truth with me. That's right. That's how I never lose the facts. I use tools, in fact. I don't mean tools like gats. I mean tools that make me sound tight, smooth on tracks. Objections? I think not. Overrule y'all cats. That's right. If you thought I fell off, then I fooled y'all cats. I got shorties wet, just like a pool. In fact, I'm slick like brick. That's why they tell me that the rule is back. How could you tell me that I'm not the illest dude on track? With my man up on the beat, I'll never lose. In fact, I'm destined to win. Now bring the rest of them in. These freshmen don't stand a chance against professional men. Top dog status, I hang with the best of them, man. That's how I know to stop men who wish death in the end. I call it how I see it, and how I see it, you wanna be it. You like the discipline to be strategic, faggot. Nigga, listen, I can bag your chick with a little dick and a little whip and a little bit of ice on my wrist. Cause I'm nice with this shit, dog, I'm slick with the words. I got a bitch with a brick, that's a bird with a bird. Cheap with my chips, puff herb with the herbs. Flip by the fifth, picked up on the third word. Cause I supplies most of the East Coast. You gotta be for last beast, cause I'm a beast with the toast. I put the heat to your throat and release, leave you deceased as a ghost, or wishing you could smoke on these streets.
This nigga got me going out here. It's 2:30 in the morning. What the fuck? Hello? Yo, but y'all gonna holler at you later, man. I got to go some shit. Alright, peace. Come fuck on, nigga. Yo, nigga, what the fuck is poppin', nigga? You got me out.
Son, yo, did you see a nigga in the fucking restaurant, kid?
Yo, son, what nigga?
Yo, son, the fucking waiter.
Are you fucking serious?
Yo, yes, nigga, I'm serious. Get in the car. Yo, son, get in the fucking car, kid. Let me tell you, G. Yo, let's roll, kid. These cops investigate me like Matlock. But I'm on a back clock with a black clock. Got my cat cocked and I'm ready for war. I knew I seen these motherfuckers before. It started in 94. Yo, I had a trunk full of raw. Cops pulled me over, told me to open my door.
Open the door. Come here.
And started searching my shit. I said, you got a warrant for this? They said, yes. Quickly flashed it in front of my face. I blasted both cops and ran back to my place. Straight to the safe, I'm late for my date.
I'm supposed to meet the Ricans at 8 with the weight. Now I'm at the lake, it's 7:45. I'm in the black metal flake, 7:45. Kinda paranoid, I got 7:45. I'm ready to die, but trying to leave here alive. So I decide to go and take a piss. But in my ear, I hear my own people talking shit. Back up like, yo, who we walking with? That voice sound familiar, who we talking with? My fist gripped the fifth like I never held it before. My lips hit the spliff like I never smelt it before. Prepped on him, put the gun to his jaw. It was the cop from before that told me open my door. My heart's beating like I'm about to have a heart attack. My eyes bulging like I seen an ancient artifact. I asked him, where your partner at? In the back of the black van where the rest of the narcs is at. I'm about to spark these cats like a green duck. So by the end of the night, you won't be seeing much. Just me and a clip that's empty, and I burn to a crisp 9.3 MPV. But anyway, 10 years later, I find this nigga in Fridays posing as a waiter. Hopped in the whip, followed him home. Now I'm on the back block with a black block and a chrome.
Yo, hold up.
Come on.
Are you trying to tell me that this is the same nigga that you seen before? Are you serious?
Yeah, nigga, I'm serious, kid. I seen it. Yo, he did it before, G. Yo, son, this is him, kid. I'm
Are you
telling
serious?
you. Yo, this is this nigga.
Yo, son, if that's the case, son.
So big.
Are you serious, though?
Yes, nigga, I'm serious.
Alright, say no more.
Alright. If I stay, then I will only break your heart. We go our separate ways and eventually we break apart. Monday, Saturday, it's all the same. I am like a moth to the flame. 1, 2, 3. You run so much game, it's a shame. I believed you, baby, I loved you. I'd never deceive you. You see who I know now, it hurts so bad. I was furious and mad. 1, 2, 3. I go back and forth to the studio, rhyme after rhyme. You are not the same girl that I knew before, so I'm losing my mind. I go back and forth to the studio, rhyme after rhyme. You are not the same girl that I knew before, so I'm losing my mind. Can't believe you hurt me so bad. I was furious and mad. Can't believe you hurt me so bad. I was furious and mad. New day, new girl. You call like nothing's wrong. Never gave me nothing but heartbreaking words to this song. You're wrong, I'm right, but no need to fight. I think you should start a new life. 1, 2, 3. Never could I conceive we would end like this, me and you. I thought we had a love that was special and true. You see who I know now, it hurts so bad. studio, rhyme after rhyme. You are not the same girl that I knew before, so I'm losing my mind. Can't believe you hurt me so bad, I was furious and mad. Can't believe you hurt me so bad, I was furious and mad. New house, new number, I lost all contact with you. Can't trust nobody, I'll never get back with you. But we still have the memories from all that time. I just had to put it in rhyme. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't miss you, but I still wish you the best. Thought you were different, but you were just like all of the rest. You see who I know now, it hurts so bad. I was furious and mad. 1, 2, 3, 4. I go back and forth to the studio, rhyme after rhyme. You were not the same girl that I knew before, so I'm losing my mind. Can't believe you hurt me so bad, I was furious and mad. Can't believe you hurt me so bad, I was furious and mad. But no, I'm not LeBron, I'm DeJuan Lucian. Rest in peace, Sean Bell, Trayvon. I hear all this news, try to stay calm and never put tattoos on my arm. Cause my body is my temple, but they messing with my mental. How they do it, I won't prove it, that's not what I'm getting into. I went to the drive-thru and rolled down my window. Looked in the place, all I saw was my kinfolk playing Mr. Window. That old school song from Arrested Development that put me on to a new style of thinking, a new way of life. Cause I know how you living, and dog, that ain't right. Sleep all day, staying up all night, packing weapons, always looking for a fight. But these ain't the type of things that make you dynamite. You should be like me, I mean you should rhyme and write just to release yourself, let people know how you feel. And if you work hard enough, maybe you could get a deal, maybe you could save a soul, maybe you could play the role as so many have done before. Then you never stop people, they will want more. And I mean you wanna stand tall, I mean you don't wanna fall. And if you can't rap, fine, I'ma open up a door. Just work for a cause and don't pause, no matter who you are. And it ain't all about a car, foreign or domestic. I just wanna walk the streets and not get messed with. People see me on the street and they don't even stress it. But are they after me because I'm the freshest? Because I'm the bestest at what I do? Just listen to the words. They have no clue about my crew, about my team, about your thoughts, about your dreams and wishes. So clean up when mom tells you to do the dishes, cause she could kick you out in an instant. Don't be a spoiled misfit, I mean chill, just let me kick it, just let me get wicked, just let me dip it, just let me flip it, just let me get this, just let me rip this. See, I'm the richest that started off the brokest. They said I couldn't do it, then I said hocus pocus. Dream and wish. Dream and wish. Dream and wish. Dream and wish. And I'm done. So it started out, I was real young with a plan, just another black man running from my land on my way to St. Lucia in a Porsche that's fuchsia, cause I'm the type of dude that don't do what you used to. Plus I'm sick of the abuse, bruh, from the local teams. Every time I walk out the door, all I hear is screams and yells. And I'm about to rebel, but the rebel in my heart keeps me smart, and I stay true to my art, so play your part. My rhymes are like darts that stick to the board. My rhymes are new Maserati, and you're an old Ford. Put us together and you got that new Honda Accord. I mean, I could blow you up, of course, I done did that before, but your rhymes are real young. And mine's are mature, I mean your style's watered down, and mine is so pure, it's like something that you never seen or heard before. I'm on my way to St. Lucia, just cause I'm bored, just cause I know I ain't walked through all these doors. But every time I find what I want, I need more. But don't get it twisted, cause I don't need y'all. But I ain't talking about you, I'm talking about them, the ones that sneak and hide, the ones that act like your friend. All they do is pretend to the end while we knocking back and forth like Wimbledon, them speakers. But hold up and let me adjust my tweeters, and I'm thirsty as can be, just for the 2-liter of Sprite, and I'm drinking out the bottle, cause I ain't living right. I'm on my way to St. Lucia, cause you practically asking me to actually defeat your faculty. Used to laugh at me, but can't compete with half of me. Beating me is blasphemy, casualty of war. I react, it's a catastrophe. You asking me for more, I'd rather eat at Applebee's. You asking me to tour, where I'm at is where the map will be. Cause I live facts and you live fantasies. You should think twice before you battle me. I'm on my way to St. Lucia. So, please save me. This life is crazy, G. All blacks is lazy since slavery. Pops always try playing me, but never paying me. Back in the days, you see, there were more moral values. Now we live for valuables, cars, clothes, and jewels. In the end, we all fools with no schooling. Die to get props, what you're moving. Smoke pot with resin oozing. After that, you boozing. Now we decaying, playing the game, we stay losing. Stay in the lane you choosing, and I stay in mine. So when you all messed up, I be doing fine, cause I gotta shine, gotta get mine. I'm on my way to St. Lucia, cause while I analyze, you get surprised and compromised situation. I handle mines and slide, you in the islands on vacation. My rhymes are medication to the mentally ill, a rehabilitation to the penitentiary still. I contemplate the complications and I regulate till I realize your hesitations, dedications, and fails. I infiltrate your destinations, you perpetrated the fraud. And I did this simply cause I was irritated and bored. Disintegrated your information and penetrated your thoughts, so I won. Cause you're the one that instigated, of course. Cause all the rumors and the lies you demonstrated were false. I'm on my way to St. Lucia. with this composition. Musicians ain't no competition, need to form a coalition to be the man that's riffing. So I'm on a mission, display my intuition, destroy any MC under any condition. That's my definition. Flow with no repetition, rolling in the expedition. With politicians on a mission, now we fishing. I'm just wishing that I never saw a face. What a disgrace, crying as I left the place. And all I had to do was listen to a conversation, not understand the situation. These thoughts are messing up my concentration. I guess it's an overload or aggravation. So I stop at the gas station. I need some new transportation with navigation. A friend is Haitian, copped it for me for my graduation. So now we're going on vacation to a new destination with no complications, no relation to my resignation. So I got a new occupation during the president's inauguration, and a couple of new forms of communication, working at the United Nations with the administration with a slight regulation. All I do is ask for identification, but I just got some new information, and I need an explanation about the creation of this HIV vaccination. Are they done with the investigation? Drops my imagination, wow, no exaggeration. Seen them declare a proclamation, gave congratulations and smile.
While you watching television, Hitachi, Aroxy, Versace on my body, jewelry like Liberace, warrior like an Apache. You best to watch me because I'll play a game like Yahtzee, have happy days like Patsy, impact German gats like Nazis. 4 deep in the Jeep screaming, fuck the Illuminati. You broke as a joke and you niggas is nobodies. Do you understand? I do this for Lucky and John Gotti. Tie you to the back of the truck, pull off, pulling your body. I don't give a fuck, I'm too hard and too cocky. Soon as you get down on your luck, I'll pull up with 2 shotties. Your man thought he was tough, so I caught like 2 bodies. Then go to your mom's crib, dump you up in the lobby. R.I.P. Prodigy.